This video is an introduction of how to use Fathom. In our class, we begin by clicking on the courseware icon. When we do that, we've got a list of programs, and scroll down till you get to the F's and find Fathom 2. Double-click on Fathom 2, and you'll get the Fathom program that we're going to work with. You can maximize the window, just so you have a full area to work with. And it begins by left-clicking on Collection and dragging that onto the main area. We can change the name of that collection by double-clicking on it, and then we're able to rename it. And today I'll just give you an example using some data I've made up of arm span versus height. So I type that in, hit enter, and now I've got my new collection. This is just a way the computer keeps track of the different tables and graphs, groups them all together that you're working with. So we've got arm span versus height. Now I'm going to create a table. While this is highlighted in blue, I left-click on table and drag that onto the main part of the screen. My table appears with nothing in it, but I'm going to enter my data now. So click on New just once with the left click, and you're able to type height, hit enter, and then click on New again and type arm span, and hit enter. Now we've got our table ready, we can start to enter our data. So reading off a piece of paper, the first person's height is 180, tab, and their arm span is 183, enter. Got a left click back here. The next person is a height of 175. We better click to make sure we're in the right spot. And they have an arm span of 168. Now, it's getting a little tiresome to have to keep clicking, so you can enter all the heights at once. I have a few more. Next person's height, 185, enter, 195, enter, 182, enter. And then go over to their corresponding arm spans and enter them, hitting enter as you go down, and it's a little bit faster to enter the data that way. When you want to make a graph, make sure your table is highlighted in blue, go back up to the top, left click on graph and drag it onto the screen. Your graph will appear without any data. To get the data, take your independent variable, in our case height, and bring it down to the independent x-axis and release. Do the same thing with arm span. Left click on the title, drag it over to the axis you want, in this case the y-axis, and release the key, and there's our graph. We've got our table, we've got our graph. We can make a line of best fit by right-clicking and selecting least squares line. This will give us the line of best fit we're looking for. Now we have our equation written here. That might be hard for some of you to read because it's written with big words, arm span and height. You're used to seeing it with y and x. So we can add a text box if we want. Left click on text and bring it onto the screen. And here we can type the equation is y equals, and I'm looking at this number, 1.536 x being the height, minus 97. You'll also see beside that the correlation coefficient squared at 0.94. So if you want to know how strong the line is in terms of its appearance close to the dots, just take the square root of 0.94 and you'll know how well this looks like a line. And that's a basic introduction of how to use the program that we're using for our summative in this unit called Fathom.